Why, thank you.
That's new.
West Ward Alderman J.C. Cunningham.
Here.
Mayor Natalie McNish.
Here.
West Ward Alderman Robert Boggs.
Here.
West Ward Alderman Stacy Lee.
Here. If you would please stand for a moment of silent prayer or reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and our flags move. Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And that will bring us to minutes from May 20th, 2021. Those were included in your packet. Do we have any changes, corrections, etc.? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is expenditures. You have what was in your packet, and you also have a supplemental item that was included here. Give you a couple minutes to kind of look through the additional item.
And I will also add that I know I've kind of given you guys an update, but we did go ahead and purchase a dump truck. The invoice actually came across this afternoon. And so Monica went ahead and cut a check. It literally came in 45 minutes ago, probably maybe an hour. So she did go ahead and print a check. And so I'd like to put it in the claims as well so that we can get that thing picked up next week. So you guys had already approved the amount. The larger truck sold for an amount that I did not feel comfortable, or even there was another one I didn't want to bring back to you. I didn't feel like it was a good purchase. This one, we went in and paid $13,000 for this one. So you guys had already approved up to 25. So it's within those boundaries.
Okay, any questions on expenditures? If not, I'll take a motion to include the packet, the supplemental item, and the $13,000 check for the purchase of the dump truck.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have no unfinished business tonight. That takes us to new business. And the first item on the agenda is our external audit presentation. Mr. Marshall Decker, you have the floor.
Thank you. Marshall Decker, the Form Decking to Good. Working real hard to get Mr. Blake Pace to start doing this. He's my grandson. Where you gotta go? I said, I gotta go to Marshfield. I said, it's about time you learn how to start doing this.
Yeah, bring them around for a field trip.
Yeah. Okay, I'll run through it. Hit the highlights. I'm sure you don't hear every word. You got any questions on anything, just stop me and ask me. The opinion, it takes 2 pages, format same as past. You got what it calls scope paragraph. First paragraph says all the statements are covered by the opinion. Second paragraph recites your responsibilities. And then the next 3 paragraphs is our responsibilities. And because you have federal grants, you see that italics word, government auditing standards. There's a few things you have to look at extra when you have federal grants, plus another schedule and 2 more opinions and so on. Then the important ones at the bottom, it's what we call clean opinion. And it says, in our opinion, financial statements referred to above present fair in all material respects, the financial position of all those opinion units as of December 31st, 2020. So the opinion is basically saying that any outside reader, they have confidence if it says property tax, sales tax, those are line items are accurate numbers for that fund. And the cash that we show, that you show on your financial statements is there, debt's there. That's a complete presentation. And there's a format you have to follow. You can't make up the format any way you want to. You have a lot of rules. And now that we changed the word. Used to be, they said it was a certificate of achievement of financial reporting. And they found that acronym offended some people. So now it's ACFR. So
Okay.
anyway, that's included that too. And then top page 2, just that opinion says the MD&A letter and it's budget actual and other pension stuff is required. It's back there. Next 2 paragraph talks about the added information and the federal grant. And then the bottom one, because it's federal grant, we call yellow book. And it says that opinion's in the back. There was no problems or findings as far as the internal control compliance on federal standards. So that's what you really want to know. Is there any nasty comments? As far as the highlights for the year, it's broken down. You got governmental funds and you got water sewers called proprietary funds. So the formats, the statements look different. That's why you see them 2 different places. So on page 16, that's a general transportation park, and then debt service and cemetery is what we call the non-major funds. That's a 5-10% rule. Little funds, big funds. So the 3 big funds, general, transportation, and park. General showed $2,534,213 revenue, $2,152,771 expenditures to a plus $381,442. Some transfers for a net change of $397,853, and brought it up to $2,276,948. As far as I always say, a benchmark, what's a good number? Half of your expenditures is a good number, and that'd be $1,050,000, and you're $2,276,000. So the general fund's well healed. It's in rock solid position, and this is good. I remember years ago when this wasn't true. It was a little tough going through some of these statements. Transportation, $1,033,917. Expenditures, $1,720,769. Decrease $686,852. Transfer out 75. Decrease 761,852. It's brought down to $2,844,475. And that decrease is because you did a lot of capital improvements, long-term projects out of the transportation. So still $2,844,475 is an excellent balance. Park, $1,141,163. Expenditures $1,015,173 to the plus $125,990. Brought it up $207,085 to $1,722,961. And excellent. There was a time in the park barely survived. So when you got that sales tax in the park. The non-major fund, that's on page 55. You can see the revenue and expenditures on debt service and cemetery. Debt service, $339,385. Expense, $439,568. Decrease $100,235. Ended $317,075. Debt service usually just a balance there that you need for the next payment before the money comes in. So it's in good shape. Cemetery, $167,559. Expenditures $125,296 to the plus $42,263. Grand total $560,261. Good balance there. As far as the activity on the water sewer fund, that's page 19 is what you call profit and loss. Water fund, $1,545,514. Expenditures $937,424. Operating income $608,090. Interest earned, interest paid. Some transfers in and out. Net gain $805,386. The sewer $938,313. Expenditures $1,097,170. Operating loss of $158,857. Interest earned, interest paid, and some transfers. Decreased $710,543. But to really judge those, you always need to look at the next page, page 20, and statement of cash flow, because from your standpoint, your concern is, are we gaining cash, losing cash? Are we getting ahead or behind on this game? On page 20, that's what it does. Positive numbers are a source of cash, negative numbers are a use of cash. And you go down the water fund, it had a net cash increase, $3,652,422. And a lot of that is due to loan $7,790,792, or capital improvements, $4,256,608. So a lot of that cash gain is related to the debt. You have to show the debt and the payment out. As far as the balance, you still have $933,255 in unrestricted cash, and that's cash for operation. And your expenditures in water fund is about $749,000. So you've got more than 3 months of cash in as far as operation. So that's good. Sewer fund cash increase $818,695. Again, it's loans and capital or improvements. If you take the cash provided, $87,871, interest and dividends, $73,934, and you look at debt interest paid, $90,144. As long as your income and any other earnings covers your debt payment, you're fine. That's kind of, I say, how do you distinguish, am I in good shape or am I falling behind? Well, if you're covering your debt payment, and once all the construction projects settle down and you're still cash flowing on debt and minor major improvements like lift stations going down, as long as you're covering that, you're in good shape on water sewer. You're not sitting there looking for a possible rate increase. The notes to financial statements for a proper presentation, you have to have those. And the format, it goes accountant policies, significant items, then it goes cash, depreciation schedule, long-term debt, and about 4 pages of loggers debt. And then to cap it off, at the very end, it's new accounting standards implemented and new accounting pronouncements yet coming. Very exciting reading.
No.
So that's, and then there's some more opinions. And then you have to have page 61 is a schedule of federal awards. And that's what we call, you used to call it A133, now it's uniform guidance because you exceeded $750,000. You had to have that in your audit this year too, which we will. They say you're supposed to do that, but we do it and we code all this stuff, send it in, and then Monica we contact her, said, you got to hit the accept and approve button, and I hit the accept and approve button, and the federal government's happy, and the work is completed. So, any questions you have? It all looked good. It's kind of hard to wade through this sometimes. And you go several edits, hey, did you see that? I go, oh.
No, we followed each other around many, many cities over my career and your career. And,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see this result.
Yeah,
for the
it's
city.
the biggest thing over the years with Marshfield, you went years ago, a real cash crunch situation, and has bounced back. They've implemented some things that you have money to work with, things you can do with. Monica brought up on some transfers, or one was the road from the CC down to the pool.
Mhm.
And see, what was it? The park was going to repay transportation. And I said, oh, my thoughts on that, is that road going to go all the way through, or is that just a road from CC down to the pool?
Right now, it is
I guess
just the CC to the pool.
Is
but
it a
that road-
driveway?
No,
or is it
that
a road?
road will be extended by the end of the year
Yeah, normally,
as a thoroughfare.
normally that transportation is where road improvements are paid out of. Do what you want. Natalie's familiar with this.
Yeah.
But the parking lot, the things that attach to the pool, asphalt, that'd be fine. But I looked at it, well, maybe this is just a grandiose parking or driveway.
That's all it is right now.
It is right now.
And unless the project continues, it's a very long driveway. That's it.
Well, that's why y'all make the big bucks.
Yes,
It's not-
sir.
I mean,
I disagree with you.
for a park to pay that back, if it's just an access to the pool, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah,
if you
this
ever-
time, that's all it is.
Yeah, if you hooked it up, well, then it's real road, it's real transportation, it's a street thing.
Okay.
And we went over on some of the coding on the capital improvement, water.
Mhm.
That's, I can, Fund 52 or 53 or whatever,
23.
23, and it's one, somewhere
The
between 1 and
consolidated
10.
CIP?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, you're doing both water and sewer, and somewhere, I guess, in our discussions last year, but really pick any number and separate water and sewer. Then if at the end, on your allocation, if you're off, you can sweep it back. It's a proprietary fund. So if water spent more and sewer had money left, you could transfer that back. But as far as keeping track of the capital improvements, it'd be easier if we, like 23, 24, had two separate groupings.
Okay, we'll look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume we could do a consolidated anyway.
Oh, you can. It just,
I'm glad we don't, but.
for an
I'm assuming we
auditor,
can
it's
do-
harder to,
I'm
trying to
assuming we
track
can do a consolidated.
consolidated water sewer fund.
Mhm.
You can, but on statement activities, it has to be broken between water and
Yes.
sewer. There it has to be broken. In a lot of towns, water sewer is one fund.
Mhm.
But even then, you have to have two departments, one water, one sewer.
Right.
So
We
the
can
thing,
talk
if
more
you
on it
have,
in the future.
yeah, if you have two, like water fund, like you do water fund, sewer
Mhm.
fund, then technically engineers, when they go back and try to say, there are what rates
Mhm.
set,
For rate study.
then you have the numbers, how much does it take to really operate the sewer, how much does it take to operate the water? So that's the plus of having two separate funds.
Right.
It kind of see that, but they are proprietary funds, so.
Right.
And on that, two statements we never talked about, because I really don't want you to go there, because it could take a whole hour talking about this.
Let's not.
You know, that's like my grandson, so he's going to get his master's in accountancy and get a CPA certificate. And for the first 6 months, he's going out. How is that the governmental funds are modified accrual and the statement of positions
Yeah.
full accrual, and we got these numbers, and where do we find these numbers? They're just in your worksheets? Yeah, that part. But see, they did that.
Government accounting.
Yeah, they did that because the MD&A letter is supposed to make every life easy, and you understand it much better than you do those financial statements, so. No, not really, but,
Right, right.
but for it to be in a proper presentation, we have to have it. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Board, is there any questions for our auditor?
I don't think so.
All right, we appreciate your time.
Good, thank you.
And maybe next year we'll get to meet your grandson.
Oh, yeah, he's got next May, he finishes up. He went to the graduate studies dean.
Mhm.
Because he didn't know if he just want to get 150 hours or get a master's degree. And I told him to prep for the CPA exam, you need to take the Becker course. You need to do that. So they give you 16 hours for the Becker course.
Right.
And he gets 6 hours working for me. I said, did you tell them what you do? He said, no, they just said,
Yeah, that's internship hours.
internship, you get 6 towards your master's. So there's 22 hours. And then he has other courses will count. So he only has to take one elective course, and he's going to take governmental accounting. I said,
Oh.
in that class, just do not say,
The
"Oh,
classes.
Papa said that's stupid." Don't say
The
that.
class is really hard to take after you've been in this business for a while.
It could be.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Sidewalk Improvement Agreement. Sam, would you explain what we have in our packets?
Yep, can we back up just a second?
Yes.
We typically in the past, I don't know that we necessarily have to, we typically in the past, we do adopt that. So if you guys would, if we could get a vote on the
Okay.
audit.
Do you do a roll call or do you
No,
just,
a
okay.
vote
Well, in that case, I'll take a motion to adopt the audit,
to accept it.
to accept the
Yes.
audit.
Yep, sorry.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, it doesn't matter if you accept it or not. It's there.
It's-
It done.
Right. Okay, the pretty standard boilerplate agreement that you've got in front of you, basically it's saying that that through that agreement with MoDOT to build the new corridor, that everything was worked out in that agreement for the sidewalks, that they are there, but that if we have contractors working out there, meaning our mowers, they need to get a no-cost permit to be out there. They need to carry it, they need to add MoDOT as additionally insured. And then basically saying that we will maintain those sidewalks or that they will maintain them for us at our expense, or they will remove them. So everybody knows their sidewalks up and down Jackson Street. It's the same thing that's up and down through there. Those are our sidewalks. They are on MoDOT right of way, but they are our sidewalks. That's why we spend money on them. That's why you see our crews out there doing it. So this is just something that we had agreed upon at the very beginning of this project out there. And so we're just buttoning up some of the loose ends. So you'll see this coming tonight, obviously, and then you'll have the jurisdictional transfer coming at some point when they get everything buttoned up. So this is just another one of those agreements that we just need to go ahead and do by ordinance and move forward.
And I have received numerous phone calls or issues in the last couple weeks specifically, where people are needing assistance along that road. So just so it's clear, we do not currently own that road. It is not in our maintenance yet. It will be, but not until that comes back. So if you receive any calls that are on Hubble, that is still MoDOT.
Yep. And just to make sure, this agreement doesn't do anything to finalize any project. It doesn't do anything. This is a MoDOT with this is an agreement with MoDOT. The contractor still has to come back and do some work. There's some erosion issues out there. The sidewalk, that walking trail has actually popped up in a certain area. The expansion joints weren't in there. And so there's still some other improvements in there. That's not what this is. This isn't a closeout. This is just an agreement with MoDOT saying that we're making it official what we said we would do at the beginning. And this is just a maintenance agreement. So it's pretty typical.
Sam, will there be signs at some point that go up, like at the intersection where you shoot off on the old highway to come into town, that says Marshfield and
Had a lot of
I-44? I've had several calls about.
So are you talking about
coming from night.
So it'd be a question for MoDOT. So anytime you want to sign along MoDOT, they actually have engineers that have to approve those. Now we can request those. I don't know. I can talk to him about that. Obviously that could be a little bit of a bargaining tool for the jurisdictional transfer.
Yeah.
But I can ask that.
I've had several calls about why people confused on just exactly where, if I turn here, where am I going to end up? And just kind of confused on the lay of the land.
Now,
is
obviously,
now.
anywhere where it's our right of way, we can do whatever we want to.
Right.
If we were talking about what we are going to get transferred over to us, obviously right now there are only certain stipulations what kind of signs you can put on a MoDOT right of way. But once we own that, we can do whatever we want to. But out there, it's still going to be going through MoDOT.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
but I can,
biggest complaint I've got is there, like at the Route 66 park.
Yeah.
That there's no sign
No
that
signs
says
on Marshfield.
you can get
I've
to
had several
Marshfield
people miss
this
it
way.
because they don't drive it all the time.
Right.
Visiting out of town or something, we went to the Memorial Weekend, a lot of people.
so it's obviously not closed out yet, meaning
Okay.
we haven't closed out financially either. And I will tell you that we were significantly under where we thought we were going to be. And so even if there's a cost to that, let me look into that and see what that would look like to add some additional signage out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the agreement? Okay, if not, I'll read the bill. Bill number 2021-20, an ordinance approving the terms of a sidewalk improvements agreement between the City of Marshfield and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. Roll call, please.
East Ward Alderman John Quinn. East Ward Alderman J.C. Cunningham.
Here.
Mayor Natalie McNish.
No.
Nope. Sorry. West Ward Alderman Robert Boggs.
Here.
West Ward Alderman Stacy Lee.
Yes. Second reading.
I didn't motion that.
Nope, you didn't. Redo that.
We have to redo that. There has to be a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. We'll keep your vote. Second reading. Bill number 2021-20, an ordinance approving the terms of a sidewalk improvements agreement between the City of Marshfield and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. Motion? And second?
Here to get the motion.
You need the motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept the sidewalk transportation deal.
A second.
Roll call.
East Ward Alderman John Quinn. East Ward Alderman J.C. Cunningham. West Ward Alderman Robert Boggs.
Here.
West Ward Alderman Stacy Lee.
Yes.
Apparently you skip a meeting and I forget how to do things. Thank you, guys. Next item on the agenda is approval of liquor license renewals. These are included in your packet. Are there any questions? If not, I'll take a motion for approval.
Make a motion that we approve the liquor license.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item up is award of the 2021 surplus property bids. Sam, do you want to walk us through what we have?
Yep, so it's been a little while back. I brought to you a surplus list, just items that we have either met their life expectancy, they don't have a use, whatever the case may be, they're not used anymore. And so in order for us to dispose of that property or get rid of it, you guys had to deem that surplus. So you guys did that. We chose to go with a silent bid format to be able to sell that. What you have in front of you, the first page with the yellow highlights, you see how many people bid on certain items. The yellow is the tab for the highest bidder. Staff is recommending that the board approves the high bid for these items. I do think that it is worth noting that on the second page of that, that is a list of items that did not have any bid placed on those. So basically that there's little to no value in that. So if there is scrap metal in that, then we will scrap that. If it's just trash, we'll throw it in the trash. But either way, you guys still have to deem that a surplus for us to be able to do so. So staff's recommendation would be for you guys to approve the high bid on the surplus list.
Any discussion? All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve staff recommendation.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Last item on the agenda is the American Rescue Plan Act. There's a little bit in your packet about this, and Monica and Sam, you want to give us a brief overview?
Sure. Well, in March of this year, there's some legislation passed that's pretty much unprecedented. It provides all state, local, and tribal government units some funding for the coronavirus to mitigate some of the negative impacts. And so we are what they call a non-entitlement unit. So our funding is going to come from the state. So we have not received our funding yet, but we're going to receive approximately $1.3 million. That amount is subject to change, and it's based on maybe the legislation didn't get all the cities or the population correctly. So as they calculate everybody's populations and all the cities and villages and towns, so that funding could be different a little bit, but the way they have it set up is we'll get half of the amount that we're eligible for. It's supposed to be in June, and then the other half 24 months from that first date. However, it's looking like there'll be an extension just because the state has to come up with a process to distribute that money to the cities. So there's very specific on some of the items on what it can be used for. but on some of the things, it's very vague. So there's still guidance coming out from the U.S. Treasury Department on what we are allowed to use that for. But the main thing I think is for this month and currently is that we're going to open up a bank account and get that funding in our bank account. And then once there's more guidance out there, you guys can determine what's the best use of those funds.
And we have a few ideas that we're kicking around that would be eligible. Like you said, it's very specific on a few things, but then it's very vague on a few things. So it's 151 pages of vague. And so they're still trying to kind of nail that down, but we do have a few ideas of what we feel like would be good investments with those dollars for the community, with the majority of it. With the majority of it probably going towards some of our sewer issues. And so I won't say that it will address all of our sewer issues, but we do know that that is a qualified expense under this. And so a very large chunk of that will be proposed or be staff recommended to spend on that. But we do have a few other items that we're still working through that will come up, be relatively smaller dollar amounts, but still yet a good way to get some improvements done that qualify under this funding. So we'll bring those to you when it's appropriate.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions this time? Okay, we will provide you additional information once, one, the money is here, and two, we really feel like we have a handle on how you could spend it. For all other federal funds that have been released on this, which I've been working with at the university, it takes months before the final guidance ever comes out. And a lot of times it takes networking with other institutions, in this case cities, and various accounting firms to come to determinations that, yes, we think this is right, and maybe if we all do the same.
It's
It
an
is.
interesting document. We can provide it if you want it, but it's an
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a long document. So next on the agenda is future agenda items. And Sam, do you have the upcoming?
I mean, I do have some of them. Give me just a run through them real quick.
Yeah.
Not to be, you can add in here where I missed the ones that you added. We've got the leaf dump closure that'll be coming back to you guys. Dwayne and myself will be bringing back some information on a banner program that we would like for you guys to consider. Just today, I got a transportation plan update proposal from SimCog, utility rate study agreement, working with Great River to come to scope of services and fees for that. We're going to be just FYI, we're going to be coming back to you guys probably at the next meeting to talk about purchasing a bypass pump for our lift station and treatment plant. And our lift stations for basically for I&I purposes to start being able to investigate that. That will be a pretty hefty expense that I don't know that we will necessarily be looking to wait until we get the recovery money. That's something we're probably going to be recommending you guys to buy out of cash. We're going to have a Warren Street closure request from the Assemblies of God for their 4th of July celebration. I have the space needs analysis back. I really need to take some time and go through that and visit with BKD on that, but it's set to tentatively be back at the next meeting. We have some planning and zoning issues that are going to planning and zoning next week that are going to require some variances in order to get that done. Typically, those variances would go to the Board of Adjustment. Since we do not have the Board of Adjustment, you guys are the Board of Adjustment by default. And so pretty simple, pretty minor variances, but nevertheless, they will take a public hearing. So probably a public hearing at the next meeting. If not, it'll be the next for sure. But that'll be coming back. And I think there may be a couple more liquor licenses. Isn't that what you told me before the
Yes.
meeting maybe? And so that's pretty well in a nutshell what I've got. Did you have anything else beyond that?
That's a pretty long list.
It is
So,
pretty long. Yeah.
we do have other things that we are working on. The sewer capacity study completed by the SCEAP grant They are working through the details of it at this point, so we can expect a presentation soon. We will be getting a budget calendar ready so that you'll know when, what's going to happen and how we're going to tackle the monster that is the budget. We will be setting, in part of that is the board will be setting some short-term and long-term goals. So those generally happen August. We will be also talking about the website RFQs here very, very soon. And maybe even, no, the other one goes to the other board. We've got a to-do list nonetheless, but the next meeting will probably be a fairly long agenda just based on what he named off. And I don't know that anything that I named off will actually be on the next agenda. That's probably what matters. So anything else that the board needs to add?
I don't have anything yet.
Okay. All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome.
You are good.
Huh?
You are good. You beat my record.
Yes.